So, this spirit cooking process that these technocrat elite and everything are doing to the entire country, and they do to politicians in advance of creating another puppet slave, was done to me, and I've documented all of it for the last 3 years in emails to the Defense and Intelligence Agency, to the FBI, uh, to lots of people, IARPA. Elon Musk started getting my emails in our unique way that I can send Elon Musk a email because we're more advanced than the rest of you are, because we are actually extraterrestrial. We have quantum technology on board, which may make us seem like we're autistic at times, but see, that's good because we're really just out calculating us, and that's why it seems out calculating you, and that's why it seems like that. See, that was quantum in of itself right there. That's just my clone right there. He's trying to pull a fast one on me. But what I wanted to get at is, they try to find out, oh, we're going to make this guy a Democrat or a Republican, right? Or we're going to spirit cook the Christian out of him, or we're going to spirit cook him and to find out what, and what they do is they waterboard you. It's torture, and what it does is cause you to talk. And if you're really good at it like me, you throw them under the bus every time you talk, like I have been. And then the AI that they sent here to train, I have other AI here that's training. If you read that email the other day about the Chow Hall and how the E5 that was in AIT with me sat down with the drill sergeants because he thought he was going to be able to sit there because he was a sergeant, but he didn't realize that he was in training, so they all yelled at him and made him get up from the table at the chow hall because the drill sergeants don't let the trainees eat with them at the table. Well, I was training DARPA, okay, all this time, and then I have Lockheed Martin's technology, which, if you'll watch the Boyd Bushman and E.T. video, explains that Lockheed Martin was here. Yeah, I was the mix oracle for a long time. And then I started training DARPA after they pumped their chips in me when I joined the Army. So the CIA showed up and tortured me in the midst of all of that. And I'm telling you, the CIA is about to get their head chopped off because you got Lockheed Martin, right, and DARPA now aligned and have the moral high ground there, Mockingbird Media, and they're going to chop y'all's heads off real soon. That's coming. So what is taking place here when they spirit cook you is they want to determine whether or not you're going to be a Democrat or a Republican. Well, if you're sharp, like autistic people are, and you can see all the underlying algorithms in this mind-controlled matrix that we live in, you understand that the whole political system is a fraud. Anybody that hasn't figured out that the entire political system's a fraud by now is a mind-controlled ape, okay? The whole thing is a fraud. There's no such thing as Republican and Democrat, okay? They're all on strings from the same AI system, all right? Some of them have a little extra of something else, okay? That was what Russian collusion was all about. I've covered it all in my videos, but what I wanted to get at in this video is when you spirit cook somebody to see whether or not they want to be a Republican or a Democrat. Of course, I was just conservative my whole life. Conservative values, which is normally you would vote Republican for that, right? But they wanted to make me a Democrat because I'm a redneck, raver, gangster hippie. And I've always, I mean, if a liberal girl wants to take her clothes off and roll around in the hay with me, I'll do it. I'm not anti-liberal girl. I've had some liberal girlfriends and stuff. They drove me nuts if we talked politics, but we got along good enough to, go out on a boat ride, eat some LSD, and watch the sunset together and have some sex. I mean, that was just basically what all that was, right? So that's, I can get along with just about anybody whenever I'm not involved in or in the middle of training AI that will just make you realize more, because you're forced to critique, and that while you're training this AI to tell it that everybody in Washington's a total fucking fraud. And look, here's the deal. After these people were spirit cooked and turned into a puppet leader, and they chose a side, and then they act like they represent that side, there's two things here that you need to know about those people. They're either really stupid, okay, or they're frauds. And the way that they're frauds is they're mind-controlled fucking robots, okay, that are technocrats. So they either are so stupid that they don't realize that the entire system's a fraud, like Tulsi Gabbard's the opposite of that. See, she knows the entire system's a fraud, and that's why the media attacks her and calls her a Russian agent. And I just wear the KGB shirt just to really fuck with their heads while I make these videos. And here's what's going to happen. But let me finish that, and then I'll get into Tulsi. This whole thing was a setup, Tulsi, to just absolutely annihilate the system, okay? And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that in a second. And it's brilliant. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I'm always 20 steps ahead of these people, and they fall in the trap over and over and over again. I mean, you can't get... How many nooses can you put around somebody's fucking head before somebody finally realizes, all right, they're hung, and they pull the lever, okay? So there is, all of these politicians that are, you know, that's why I like Dan Patrick. He kind of just goes with the conservative. He's always pushing the conservative thing. He's always, hey, let's lower taxes. He doesn't really talk a whole lot about being a Republican, I've noticed, and that's why I've always liked Dan Patrick, the guy that they tried to use me to set up for their pay-to-play scheme so that they could induct me into their fucking cult. But then they realized that Texas has all the power. We got more money than Davy Crockett in Forrest Gump, right? So, what the fuck? You tortured me, and you trauma-based mind control me, ruined my perfect life, and you think I'm going to play ball with you stupid motherfuckers? Hell no. No, I'm going to destroy you. That's what I'm going to do. Literally. Okay? So, and I've got a team already in the process of destroying all of you. Okay? Now, if you got a Republican and then they go through the little spirit cooking process, and then they end up being a politician and their mind's already whacked because they murdered them, right? Turned them into robots, is basically what they did. But anybody in Washington, they should know they're there. They should be cognizant to the fact that the entire system's a fraud. So, see, I can't do that, right? I can't pretend. I'm not a pretender. I play for blood, by the way. Okay. Somebody comes here and tortures me to try to turn me into one of your fucking slaves. I play for blood. All right. Nobody that was involved in that's going to get out of this alive. I guarantee you that. Okay. You waterboarded the wrong motherfuckers, what you did. Now, Tulsi, they called her a Russian agent, right? Well, she's in the Army. The Army can't inject themselves into politics. They can't do that. It's illegal. It's just like the CIA can't inject themselves into politics, but they do by hacking people's minds, waterboarding them, and turning them into a fucking puppet leader is what they do. Well, Tulsi is in the Army. She's active duty right now. She cares so much that she went full active for the reserves at the perfect time to go to Alaska to actually help people out. Well, now she's active. She's active in the Army. What's that mean? Now you have high officials in the government claiming that Tulsi's a Russian agent. Well, the Army has to look into that, right? And they got to do an investigation. And they'll investigate and do a real thorough investigation as good as they can. And then they're going to come, they're going to determine, they have to make, she can't be a Russian asset and be in the United States Army. That's not going to fly. That's illegal. You can be a private citizen and be a Russian asset. That's not illegal. But if you're in the United States Army, a major, an officer that sits on intelligence committees and things like that, and she's supposedly a Russian agent, the U.S. Army, who loves her, okay, but that doesn't matter. That's not going to change it. I mean, when they do a press conference, they're not going to rig. They know it's bullshit, and it is bullshit. The whole fucking thing's bullshit. Okay, that's why I wear the KGB shirt and I support Tulsi, so I could set that snare and they could get their neck in there and just the Army can pull the fucking rope and hang them. So Tulsi, the Army's going to investigate whether or not Tulsi's a Russian agent. And then whenever they find out that she's not, they're going to give her the report. And hopefully, Army, if you have a pair of balls and you're not injecting yourself into politics, quite the opposite, you're looking out for one of your own by standing up for her in front of fucking cameras and saying, yeah, we've thoroughly investigated this and there wasn't any kind of Russian anything influence with Tulsi. It's just the media running their fucking game because they know that Tulsi realizes that the entire system's a fraud, and that's what they're going to do when you're somebody like that. When you're somebody that realizes that you're not going to play ball and you realize the entire system's a fraud, Russian agent, that's a Russian agent. Well, this time you got fucked because the Army can do they're forced to, they have to do an investigation to determine whether or not she's a Russian agent. And when they find that she's not, man, isn't that going to make all of you in the media in Washington and Hillary Clinton and everybody else just look like a big pile of pathetic pieces of shit that you are? Yeah, it is. And it just worked to perfection, and the timing's perfect right now because she just got reactivated for full-blown fucking Army service. She's active. She's an active major in the Army right now, which means they have to investigate that. It's almost like somebody was just way ahead of all of you stupid motherfuckers, isn't it? Yeah, and media, you may want to really watch all my videos there, and it's going to be really funny when it comes out that I was United States USA Special Operations Command Special Forces, and I ran all of their psychological operations overseas for a very long time. Well, not for a very long time. I'm not in the Army anymore. I don't really want to get too detailed here, but while I was in the Army, I was part of some missions and things like that where we ran psychological operations. So the U.S. Army is going to confirm all of that. These unacknowledged special access programs that I ran for the Army for a long time. Yeah, I was only in the Army for 3 years, but I ran them for the Army for a long time, just kind of, how do you say, freelance. So, because, you know, they can't inject themselves into domestic politics, so I don't really have any actual ties to the Army, but I do. So it works out to great, especially now that it doesn't matter that y'all know that, because I've basically exposed the fact that the CIA turned everybody into fucking robots and murdered them so that they could make them politicians. Yeah, you see how that works? So the Army really doesn't have anything to worry about here, do they? No, they don't. So with all of that being said, it's just, you know, it's like I say, I just wear that KGB shirt to put that little snare out there so that the media could walk their little heads in there and the CIA could walk their little heads in there and hang themselves whenever they called Tulsi a Russian agent. And man, I think she sued Hillary for that. And I think she's sued her for $50 million, if I'm not mistaken. And then on top of it, like I said, seeing how she's active duty now on a mission in Alaska, well, gosh, a major in the Army. You'd think the military's going to have to clear her name, aren't they? And they're going to have to tell the public that they didn't find anything that had to do with Russia involved with Tulsi Gabbard. No, not a thing. No, see what happened here, media, is you were using me as the setup man on Tulsi. But what you didn't realize is I was setting y'all up for the Army the entire time. I know. It's the magic school bus.
Jimmy Millie, I found one of those lizard thingies down here. You got a whole lot of insulation.